All right. Hello. I know I'm the last speaker, and many of you, including me, you have your parking ticket until 2 o'clock, so I have to rush. First of all, I would like to present myself. Well, my name is Dr. Maria Efstratopoulou. That's why I couldn't pronounce it. I am originally came from Greece, but I am the last 8 years here in UK, first in London and the last 4 years here in Lincoln. I was offered a senior academic post, so I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Bishop Grosseteste in the Social Sciences Department. I'm teaching in the special education program and the education, and I'm giving some courses in the sports department because my background is in kinesiology. So I am doctor in kinesiology and rehabilitation, but as I'm going to explain you, this has nothing, not nothing, but it's more focusing on emotional and behavior disorder and how this is connected with our movement, with the way we move, with the way we interact with people or not interact. And yes, that's me. I came from Greece. I was working in Belgium, in Brussels, for 6 years as a research assistant in clinical settings at the University Hospital of Gothenburg. I have worked with different and very severe cases of autistic children, hospitalized, ADHD children under medication, but also with children and ladies with eating disorders, 10 to 14 years old, but very severe cases of eating disorder, and they have to be hospitalized for this, and we apply some good intervention in psychomotor therapy. My master is in psychomotor therapy in children. When I first came here and I started to give some lecture about psychomotor therapy to my students, they're looking at me like, what? What's this? We never heard of the term psychomotor therapy. And I say, oh my God, I have a degree on this. What I'm going to prove that this exists as a therapy? Well, the idea behind this is that everything is connected. So if we are talking about emotion, if we are talking about the social domain, the emotional domain, and the physical domain, they're all connected. If we are going to intervene in children, we have to do it through a holistic approach. This is the idea behind the psychomotor therapy. Don't think something very fancy. It's as simple as it sounds. I am proud to say that I am an active researcher the last 10 years. I have published a lot of articles in high-impact journal in the field of emotional behavior disorder and research developmental disorder, like autism. I am not call myself as an expert, but after 10 years of researching, writing books and publication on autism and ADHD, I think that I have a lot of experience of working with children in the spectrum. And with ADHD and other emotional behavior disorder, because this is an umbrella term. When we are talking about emotional behavior disorder, we are not talking only about anxiety. We are not talking about depression also, but we are not talking only about challenging behavior. My previous book was under the title Working with Challenging Children. And the idea was its chapter to give a different presentation and introduction to different disorders like ADHD, like autism, depression, post-traumatic stress, coordination disorder. And then I was cooperating with experts to give some good solutions, some strategies, how teachers and also parents can work with children and help them and support them. My previous book is, I'm very proud for the title, is The Enigma of Autism. Enigma is a Greek word, but we are using that. So, The Enigma of Autism, Genius, Disorder, or Just Different. And every time I present my book, or I'm talking about that, everyone is asking me the same question. Okay, after doing this book, which is 300 pages approximately. But it's not only the pages, it's like 1 year work behind that, communicating, take interviews with parents, observing children, presenting the latest research in the field. So what is my opinion? What is autism? Don't worry, I will talk about ADHD because he asked me to talk about ADHD. And now, disorder, genius, or just different. And really, I have no idea what it is. I'm truly honest on this. You have to read in order to take your own answer, because there is a lot of research say that there are genius in many aspects. There are some cases that it is a disorder, it is a problem, it is a condition that causes problem, and at the same time, all of us are different. The most frightening thing is that when we are, when I was from the morning hearing all this speech, all this talk from different excellent people, from self-harm to personality disorders, nutrition, as I have experienced, and I'm very sensitive about eating disorders in children, about abused children, and this excellent work you're doing with your school. We have to talk after that. Okay, so it was really very frightening how all this can be connected. So imagine a child who has coordination problems, who is clumsy. He has anxiety. The level of anxiety really raises when this child has to be in a social situation, when this child has to go and play with the peers. So the child has not only coordination disorder or DCD or whatever, but has also anxiety. And then he wants to, or she wants to withdraw. So problems in social isolation too. So maybe feeling alone, feeling lonely, feeling sad, depressed, self-harm, suicide. It's really very frightening how everything is really connected. And that's why we say, as professionals and as researchers, that it's very important, the early diagnosis. As early as possible to see the signs, even if it is not a severe case, if it is just some signs that really worry, alert us as teachers, as parents, as professionals. One of the, to tell you about 2 months ago, I was asked by my editor, the same editor from New York, with the one we did the last book. He asked me to send a book idea about the next book. And many months I'm thinking to write something about unhappy children. So the title of the new book, which I signed a contract, but I have nothing wrote until now, is Working with Unhappy Children. And when I start and sent a book idea about different kind of causes that cause unhappiness to children, I was thinking about depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, But as I was talking with professionals and my students, it was so obvious that there are so many other causes that one child can be unhappy. So I am going to focus on different kinds of causes, like young carriers. I heard somewhere that someone is working with young carriers. I'm going to focus on children that they are abused, neglected. And this is something I used to say to my students, probably and maybe you are the best professionals because you have the knowledge, because you have the background, because you are researchers, because you are good teachers. But if you're entering a class and your students are unhappy, or there is a hidden inequality, a hidden disability, something that really worries them, could be a fear not to go back to home, to their home, not to go back to their family, or they're stressed about something, or they're not happy with their body, or so many different things that can make them unhappy. So it's not only being a good teacher, but it's also being a good professional in terms of see the warning sign well in advance. 2 days ago, I was asked by a committee from Brussels, which is, I am a member there. They asked me to assess a proposal for funding a research. To be honest, I was really, really jealous when I read this research proposal because it was something I had in mind to do, and now I can do it. Of course, I can't do anything, but it was really... Yes, with a good help maybe, but not alone. All right, so I was really, really jealous when I saw that it is an excellent, excellent team from a Belgian university, both academics and new researchers, and the title, okay, I don't remember the title, but I have noted the aim of the study, which is really very important, is to assess, to evaluate the quality of interaction between mothers and their young children with autism, one group, mothers and young children with ADHD, second group, and the last group was the control group, so mothers and at the same age, children with no obvious developmental problems, so typically developed children. So what was really interesting, it was the methodology they are using. I'm teaching research methodology in master and doctoral level. That's why I was really very keen to see how they are going to assess this interaction between the mother and the child when the child is just 36 months. Sorry, no. Could be. I have some cases in my mind. Okay, 36 months to 60, so 3 to 5 years old. The argument behind was and is, which is really very strong, that from the early years, from very, very early, even when the child is only a few months old, the quality of interaction with the mother, starting from the expression of the body or the expression of the face, is really very important for developing a safe attachment with the child from the very early. And this can influence the behavior of the child later on. So, according to other research, if the mother has problems in anxiety or problems with anxiety or depression, this goes like a signal to the child and maybe trigger hyperactivity. In most of the cases, they are really, really very connected. So the idea was to measure all these things, but the result could help parents, first of all, to develop these skills that are really important to support their children, and at the same time to see the early sign and help with the early diagnosis. So, do I have to finish? Oh, no? Okay, yeah, I will do in just 5 minutes. Okay, so, they're pushing me. I'm not going to say anything about statistics. Nobody wants to hear statistics. The only thing I would like to say, because I printed yesterday in my office this one, and this is from the National Survey of Children, is an increase, as you can understand, as you already probably know, from 2003 to 2017, an increase of from 8 to 11 for the diagnosis, official diagnosis of ADHD. The bad news is that ADHD is really very, very connected with other disorders, with anxiety, very much high prevalence of coexisting. The thing I would like to stress your attention is that for severe ADHD, the age of diagnosis was 4 years old for severe. For moderate ADHD was 6 years old, and for mild ADHD, probably they mean some signs of inattention or hyperactivity, was 7 years old. So you can understand, if you are parents or you are professionals, how important it is to see that very early when the child is in the early year setting or the first year in elementary, primary school. So the last 2 minutes, I will tell you about the research we are doing the last 7 years with the University KU Leuven from Belgium. And 2012, we developed, after 6 years of work, a checklist which we call it motor behavior checklist. It was a huge work and took us 6 years to develop it. It's about rating behavior in children. So mainly focusing on externalizing and internalizing behavior. It only contains 59 items, and you can screen the child in 7 different factors. So we can have some items about aggression. We have some items who are really indication about hyperactivity and attention problems. We have some items, another cluster who is focusing on social interaction and stereotype behavior. And we have also a cluster about self-regulation, how the child can or cannot regulate feelings and emotions. So an overall score for us say nothing. I personally don't like overall scores, even if it comes to IQ, if it comes to behavior or whatever. But the separate scores means a lot, because from these scores we can see if there is a problem in a specific area and see that as soon as possible. Finishing that, I would like to say, because I'm leading a model for Year 3 students now called Syndromes and Label, please, even if you have the theoretical knowledge, if you have the experience and the professional experience, do not label your children. If you are teachers, if you are professionals, I know it's very convenient sometimes to say, come on, I'm the best teacher, I'm the best professional, but what can I do? I have 2 with ADHD, 3 with dyslexia, 4 with post-traumatic stress. I'm doing my best and I can do. Please don't label your students. Try to find what is the best thing and grab from the best thing and build your intervention, your education approach, and support them. Thank you very much.